Big opening. Pass 5. Pass 10. Perko's a man. And he goes all the way to the 15-yard line. 17 yards out the carry.
Welcome back to the Believe in Badgers podcast on the Believe Podcast Network, presented by betonline.ag. Once again, I'm Matt Perkins, joined, as always, by Badger legend, the Hebrew Hammer himself, Matt Bernstein. Bernie, how are we doing today?
Every day on the podcast is literally a holiday. I look forward to these conversations. We have someone super special. Coach, don't be mad. I'm more of an offensive guy, which I think you know. So we had Phil on. It was only nice to bring in our new D coordinator, Mike Tressel. I couldn't be happy. Like, I'm thrilled with everything that's happening. And we're just lucky to spend some time chopping it up and talking about the defense, which I really don't know much about.
Let me tell you something. First of all, I'm excited to be here, and I appreciate you as an offensive guy having us here. But fullbacks are basically honorary defensive players, right? I mean, you go and you hit people just like we do. You don't get much of you're honorary defensive guys. So we should be good right here. Should go smooth.
I think it's going to go amazingly.
Before we get started, want to remind you guys that we are presented by betonline.ag, where they continue to be your number one source for all of your online sports wagering needs. You name it, they've got it over there at betonline.ag. So head on over to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit using our promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV over at betonline.ag. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Coach, you've spent time in the Big Ten. How special is it for you to come back and be at the University of Wisconsin?
Yeah, it's special to be back in the Big Ten, but particularly here at Wisconsin. I mean, I've been able to, and I'm going to try to do the math, but say 16 years in coaching the Big Ten, look at Wisconsin and realize that that's the type of place you want to be, because football is so important. I mean, the state is absolutely all in. I've not talked to a single person, football player or otherwise, that's a Badger that is not absolutely in love with this place. It's a great place. Madison's a great place, and we can win.
I truly believe we can win. And I think with what is so exciting, and you've been around this, is you guys did it already, is win, and you went to the playoffs. What was that like? What's that experience, and what's that build up for, coming in with Coach Fickell, coming to Madison, but you did this in Cincinnati. So like, what's that build up and that growth? And then how do we get to be an elite team in the playoffs?
Yeah, so I've actually been fortunate enough to be in the playoffs a couple times. I was at Michigan State in the Big Ten. So I've experienced in the Big Ten, not being the Ohio State, and how do you do that? But then also what we're talking about is with Coach Fick. And what happens is he brings a belief in awful fast. And what his program does with our strength, with Brady Collins, with the coaches, is we make some of the things that are really, really hard but necessary to be great and make them fun. And the players thrive in them. The players enjoy them. The energy's high. And I think probably you've seen some clips in media of the fun our guys are having, but also that the work that they're putting in. And Fick does a great job of putting guys in adverse situations so that you can learn how to handle that, and getting guys that thrive in those situations and not dread them, and know that if we do get in one of those types of battles, we'll win that battle. We want to be in that situation. So that's what we're testing our guys with right now.
What's your favorite one of those? Like, what's your favorite? Like, I looking from the outside, it looks like it's almost like gamified. Like, I think a lot of people talk about that, at least in the corporate world these days. It seems to talk about gamifying things. It seems like you've gamified a lot of these workouts. What's your favorite one? What's your favorite way you've made one of these fun?
Oh, you know what? We were just sitting here talking about squat fist, for example, and that's a strength room deal. But our morning workouts, our mat drills that we do right now, the thing that we do is it is constantly creating competition, right? It is constantly creating competition. So, part of the Badger brand on defense is challenge everything. One of the base beliefs of the team as a whole is the competitive spirit. So our guys don't dread being in competition mode in front of their teammates, in front of their peers. We make that normal. And guys end up thriving and loving being in those situations.
I love that, because some of the stuff we've seen looks like what Coach Alvarez and this is a long time ago, John Detman were doing, saying we got to win the fourth quarter, but we got to compete. And it was always like dips against somebody or holding a front core. So it's nice to see that some of these things have stuck with, kind of the time, over so long. We still have dudes who are holding, doing back squats and holding plates. It looks amazing from afar. I don't want to be part of this anymore. But Coach, you come to Madison, right? Like, first off, what's that whole time like? Like, did you know Coach Fickell was thinking about it? Did you know like it was a possibility? What was that experience like?
It's always really difficult, especially when you roll into, you're getting towards bowl season. When Fick did take the job, now there's like, will I be coaching the Wisconsin bowl game? Will I still be helping coach the Cincinnati bowl game? It turns out that I wasn't able to coach either, which is our whole staff. We're sitting watching our guys on TV, not being able to be there in the battle with them. That's really, really difficult. Up until the point, though, that Fick took the job, what we do as coaches is we focus on our guys. You don't think about the what ifs. If he takes this job, or what if it's not fair to your guys. So we're focusing on helping our kids out every minute and locked in on them. Now, that being said, when you start hearing the rumors that Wisconsin might be a possibility, there's no doubt in the back of your mind, like, God dang, I hope he takes that one. Because he obviously had a lot of options, right? He's had a lot of options. So I think it says a lot about the program that Wisconsin is what he chose. And there's no doubt in my mind, when I started hearing rumors, this is the one I wanted.
Can I ask you like you don't have to answer, but like a more personal, like when CEOs and coaches change, it's not always a guarantee they take anyone with them. Was there a conversation? You only answer if you feel comfortable. But is there a conversation before with like, hey, listen, I'm only looking at some of these elite jobs, and I will take you no matter what? Or is that even a conversation?
So when I came to Cincinnati, I was hopeful that if there was a chance that he left, that I would be with him. I'm a type of guy, I do not try to bounce around in jobs. I was at my previous stop before Cincinnati 14 years. I want to break that record in Wisconsin. I think Coach Fick is the type of guy that doesn't want to bounce around either. I'm from a coaching family. My grandfather, my uncle, my dad, they taught me, if you're in a good situation, make it a great situation. If you're in a great situation, make it the best situation. Don't try to parlay it into the next best thing. Doesn't work that way very often. So, I mean, we don't really have those types of conversations. It drives my wife nuts. She's like, how could you not talk about that? And the answer is what I told you. It's because I'm going to focus on my guys until the bitter end. I'm going to focus on my guys. So that's what I did. But obviously, when I did choose to be with Coach Fick originally, the hope was we'd be together for a long time.
And Coach Fick seems to have these guys who are all in, like yourself, with him. And we talked to Coach Collins, and you can feel it right off the bat. What is it about Coach Fickell that gives him this? I would describe it as like a magnetism, but I don't know what everyone who talks about him, who knows him, seems to glow about him. What is it about him, and what is your relationship like with him, both on and off the field?
Yeah, so I guess that's what true leaders have, is they have the ability to make you want to follow, right? Of course, that's the case. That's what a leader is. But he has the ability to, tell you the truth, but in a way that, okay, if it's something that needs to be fixed or stepped up, you want to do it for him and for the program. He has the ability, he's going to be successful. Everybody wants to be a part of something successful. There's no doubt about that. He does a great job of giving people in a role like mine as a coordinator, or you mentioned Brady, a role like that as a head strength coach, giving you power in your area. So he has your back. It's important that your leader, you feel like he has your back, so you have the freedom to do your job at the best level you can. So all of those are things, and you just know, and with his wife Amy too, you feel like it's family. You ultimately feel like it's family.
Believe in Badgers is excited to be brought to you by Infinigods. Infinigods is a gaming studio with a suite of free, fun-to-play games centered around ancient mythologies and civilizations. Visit Infinigods.com to play their first game, Infinimerge, and learn about their upcoming tower defense game. Play for fun or play to compete and take your shot at winning digital collectibles. That's Infinigods at Infinigods.com, unleashing the power of blockchain games. So one of the other guys, speaking of coaches in those relationships, is Coach Hitchler. I think I'm pronouncing his last name right. He's your co-defensive coordinator. So what's your relationship like with him, and how do you guys split up your responsibilities?
Good. I mean, it's great with Coach Hitch. Coach Hitch, Fick, be the first one to tell you this. He's an idea guy. He's going to argue the other side of the fence absolutely regardless, right? I can flip a coin to pick which argument I'm going to take, and he'll argue the opposite. And that's a good thing, because we're going to try to shoot holes through everything. We're going to, as I mentioned already, as part of the Badger brand of our defense, we're going to challenge everything. So we work together really well in that regard. And he's pretty much exclusively with the back end. So anything we're doing, he's going to try to punch holes, in particular in the coverage aspect of it, or if we're putting somebody in too much of a conflict in the back end, he's going to be on that right away, pounding his fist. And you need people like that. But I'll tell you, I think we have an all-star staff on defense. So right across the board, we got some experience. We got some good coaches and good leaders in that.
First of all, I love that. I think from everything I see about Coach Fickle, like, you want to follow the dude that's going to jump in the hot tub or the cold tub or whatever that is. He seems to be that guy. And you saw it, I think, right away when there was a lot of turmoil, but he came in and all the guys were in that room at the press conference. And I think that was really special, because you had a lot of guys kind of feeling themselves out. And I have to assume it was like one meeting and these dudes are like, I'm in. Like, this guy is bringing what he's bringing. And that to me is special. And as a coach, it's got to be special for you.
It is. I'll tell you, we have few coaches on our staff, obviously, have never worked with Coach Fick before. And I heard a couple of them say after his first team meeting that they were part of, man, that dude's elite. Now I see why he's such a good coach and why people follow him, because he is very passionate. He is very intense and direct, but he's in it with you. Like, he's a guy that's never going to ask anybody to do something that he wouldn't do himself. And very often he demonstrates that he'll do it himself.
I love that. I mean, it's very exciting. Wait, so Coach, okay, you got to talk to me about the defense, because you got to explain it to me like I might be someone who doesn't understand defenses all that well, although I kind of do, I think. Give me like your broad methodology. Like, what are you bringing? What's it look like? What are you most excited about? I think our defense before, to me, our outside linebackers were like our strength. I mean, I think Keanu Benton and some of the nose guard was huge, but we have dudes in the NFL who are linebackers up and down for the last 10 years. What in your defense is like, we need this guy to be the guy? Yeah.
So you want me to explain our defense like you've never played football before? That's the last thing I want to do, is explain our defense like to people that don't know our defense. There's got to be a little bit of surprise in this, right? But,
don't give us any trade secrets.
No. But to your point, we have to keep a lot of the things that we've done really, really well over the past 10 years here at Wisconsin, because of how dynamic those outside backers are in particular, right? To all of a sudden be able to recruit the best of the best at a position and have people want to come from all over the country to play that position at Wisconsin, and then not utilize it or eliminate that would be crazy, right? Just like when I went to Cincinnati and we're playing in that league, and we had recruited guys that could play our dollar defense, which was our base defense there at Cincinnati, that was so successful in that league, and we had the pieces to play that would have been crazy for me to come in and change that. So one thing I'll guarantee you is the CJ Getz of the world, and the Daryl Petersons and the Caden Johnsons and the TJ, those outside backers that are dynamic playmakers, we're going to utilize those guys. Okay. That being said, some of what we evolved to at Cincinnati, I think, is really good in the world of college football. 2022, 2023, where people are spreading out a little bit more, where there's 3 receivers on the field almost all the time. I mean, there's a place for that. There's a place for us to be able to get more skilled athletes on the field a little bit more often, because it's still about running and hitting and tackling. So I know this is a very generic answer, but we're going to utilize our best players to the best of their ability.
Well, listen, I see what happened with Ivan Pace last year, and I think about Daryl Peterson or TJ Bowlers in that position, and it's, I'm licking my chops as someone who wants to support the team, right? Like, I can just imagine those guys doing what he did. And then what I think, though, a lot of Badger fans are really interested in is just like the switch to a base 5-man secondary, right? A 3-3-5. It's been a 3-4 at Wisconsin forever. It's a 3-3-5. And so you have sort of different responsibilities in the secondary than I think typical Wisconsin fans will be. Like I'm talking about myself. Like, I'm not used to watching on 3-3-5. Bernie's not used to watching on 3-3-5. So what kind of athletes, especially, are you looking for on the back end in both the recruiting process and then getting them onto the field?
So, we definitely, just because of the world we live in today and the type of recruiting that we've done here in the past, right now, we need to look for people that can run and cover. There is absolutely no doubt about that, right? And I would tell you that any defensive coordinator, defensive recruiting staff's crazy if the first thing they're not looking for is guys that can rush the passer and guys that can run and cover. So we'll be no difference in that regards, but that dynamic outside backer position being so unique, hey, we can recruit the guy that can rush the passer as we point to that. I think the fact that we do utilize the 3-3-5 so well, especially at Cincinnati, and it was man heavy as we did it, can entice some of those long defensive backs that can run and cover to want to come and be Sauce Gardner, right? You can't be Sauce Gardner just because you're long and can run, but guys can see and watch our defense and see Thorpe Award winners in Kobe Bryant and 4th picks overall and realize we utilize that personnel in such a way that could be you, right? The defense puts you in position where that could be you. So I'm not going to sit here and tell anybody what percent we're going to be in this personnel or what percent we're going to be in that personnel, not because it's a secret, because we have to figure out who are our best players and what do they do best. And that, as we look at our spring objectives, is at the top of the list. Number 1 in our spring objectives is building trust and building relationships amongst the players, coaches. But basically, number 2 is who are our best players and what do they do best and how can we utilize them? That's what good coaches do, right? Figure out who their best players and let them do what they do best and let them impact the football game.
Well, it's also nice, before we got on, Jordan Turner walks in to say goodbye before spring break. So that means that you have made an impact on these young individuals already. What's that been like, to meet the guys first and to start talking to some of the defensive guys? And then what is you just said you're trying to look for dudes, but what's spring ball and how much does that mean to this team right now?
So first of all, yeah, not only Jordan Turner, but also Muma and Jake Chaney, all 3 of those guys were up here. I'd like to say just to say goodbye and give me a hug before spring break. I think that was part of it, but they were also wanting to turn on some film a little bit before they left, which, by the way, that's a really good sign that people want to do that. A, that they want to hang around with us up here in the office, but B, that they love ball. So that's really exciting. And one of the things I am really excited, what am I excited about this defense? One of the things I'm really excited about is the love of football and the football IQ that I feel like this group has. So we'll be able to do a lot of checks and adjustment and audibling and things like that on the football field based on formations or based on offense changing calls, things like that I haven't necessarily been able to do as much the last couple of years. So I'm really excited about the guys' ability to do that. They have to love the game and want to study to do it, and they're showing me that. But spring ball's critical, because even when we're in personnel groupings that they've used before, we're not going to do things exactly the same. We have different coaches using different languages at times, and it needs to become their first language, right? They can't be out there playing next fall like they're playing in their second language. We need to get them so comfortable in this, it feels like this is what they've done their whole life. So it's absolutely critical. And that is in our dollar defense, which is brand new, but really everything's brand new because there's new people here.
It's also exciting because watching film to me is the mental aspect is the most important, but also the most time consuming. And student athletes and coaches like yourself have a ton of things to do. And I know when I was coming up, everyone said spring ball's the way you're going to get on the field. And my first spring practices, first of all, I knew no plays. I was getting killed. If you could believe it, coach, I was god awful when I showed up. We ran a wing tee. Like I ran the ball. I never blocked a soul. So Coach White's like, come in every day, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we'll watch film. And we did it for months. And the second you get on the field, I just visually could do it. I'm like, oh, this is what he means by this. This is what he means about who to block, landmarks, and all these things. So I love to see guys that are coming up and saying, like, Coach, can we sit down and just go over the mental part? Because to me, the physical, these dudes are you ever see Jordan Turner in real life? He's the nicest human, but a scary looking guy, musculature and everything else. We saw him in his pads and he took pictures with my wife, who's 4'10", 4'11", if she is wearing stilts. But so I love that these guys are doing that with you. Like that makes me excited to hear.
So hold on. Let me jump in here. Let me jump in.
Please.
So I got to say this. If you stunk at first, right, at least in your mind, yet your coach wanted you to come up every Tuesday and Thursday and watch film, that means you must have played really hard and you must have been a tough SOB, right? Because I will tell you that as coaches, at least from my perspective, man, if you give crazy amount of effort and attitude and you show toughness and passion, then I will go out of my way to spend as much time as humanly possible because I know it's in there, right? If the passion isn't there and the effort and attitude isn't there, then, you're probably not going to be drug up to the office for those extra times. So that tells me something about you. But where I'm going with this is that's what I feel with these guys. So, I mean, I'm loving that they're coming up all the time because, man, they've made me want to spend more and more time with them. And one thing I always tell some of my players, I heard Derek Jeter say once, I'm going to play so hard that my coach can't sleep at night if he doesn't play me. I'm going to practice so hard that my coach can't sleep at night if he doesn't play me. So that's what I'm seeing out of some of these guys. And that's a beautiful thing.
No, it's a beautiful thing. Funny side story. When I was on the scout team, they put me in TJ Duckett's number 45, I think it was at Michigan State. And I was talking about practicing hard. I was on the scout team getting the ball every play because I was 265 pounds and he was probably 250. I've never had more fun in a practice in my life. Now, the starting defense was not very happy because, in season, these guys don't want you to go full speed, but it was possibly one of my most memorable moments as a scout team.
It's awesome.
I call scrubiners. I was a scrubby, I was a scrub at this point. But yes, the passion in football were there. And obviously I'm 40 now. Passion has not gone away. I just don't put a helmet and shoulder pads on. I leave that up to the guys you're coaching to take those hits and deliver those hits. Coach, I know we only have a couple more minutes. One, how interesting is it going to be to go against the air raid offense in practice and then have to literally change a lot of things to go against some of the Big Ten teams?
Yeah, so there's no doubt that's one of the challenges, right? How are we going to practice to make sure that we are truly ready and going out there with the mindset of being physically dominant when we do go against the 12 personnel teams, when Iowa jumps into 12 or Minnesota jumps into 12 or whatever the case is, because Coach Longo will do that sometimes, but it's still a little bit of a different philosophy. So we're going to have to make sure we have ways to be prepared for that stuff. There's no doubt about it. I do think football still comes down to blocking and tackling, even with the rules now. Our physicality out there on the perimeter as they sling the ball around can make some differences. You better be able to create turnovers when teams are slinging it all over the place. You better be able to put confusion in the quarterback's mind when slinging the ball all over the place. But I do know this from what I've seen, even not in spring ball yet. We're going to give the ball to Braylon Allen. Don't think that air raid, that ball's going to be in the air all the time. We're going to hammer it. I can see that already.
Yeah, I think you got some special dudes with Braylon and Tress who, to me, can do completely different things, and they overlap very well. I'm a running back, so like I love these guys off of just watching them. We don't have to dig into that, but
Coach, I'm actually going to jump right in here,
Matty P.
because I got to know. Coach, I mean, you've been at Ohio State before, you've been at Michigan State, but Ohio State has really been a bugaboo for Wisconsin. Haven't beaten them since 2010. What do the Badgers have to do, especially defensively? Whether it's, I mean, we're not going to ask you to go through scheme, obviously, but what do the Badgers need to do defensively to, slow down a high-powered offense that's high-powered every year, that's putting up 50 points a game every single year? What has to happen in order for the Badgers to get on the level where they're playing with the elite of the elite?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing, this sounds simple, but the first thing is you better in your heart of hearts believe that you can go out there and whoop them. You better believe that. I can tell you when I first got to Michigan State, we had a lot of Ohio guys on the roster who thought they were Big Ten players, but didn't believe they were as good as those Ohio guys that went to Ohio State. And then that changed, and we were able to beat them pretty regularly once we had a group of guys that actually were pissed as to who the Buckeyes chose at that time and said, I'm better than them. We're going to go beat them. Physically, we're going to go beat them. So first thing is, you obviously better believe, and you better have that chip on your shoulder no matter who you're going against. Secondly, huge, you can't give up explosive plays. They're going to live on explosive plays, right? So for us, in terms of eliminating explosive plays, man, we have been harping on leverage and the understanding of closing space and leverage, because they make their living on creating space and then using the athletes they have to make people miss, and particularly lose leverage in space, because that's where the explosives come. So I believe you can frustrate any offense over time if you make them earn every penny, if you make them earn every blade of grass. So believe and eliminating explosives would be the first two things I put on the list.
All right, then, Coach, I know we got to get you out of here. What's been your favorite part about the city of Madison outside of football? What's the best part about living in Madison, Wisconsin so far?
Am I allowed to say summer, even though I haven't seen it yet?
I mean, you've probably been here during the summer, but it's pretty epic.
I've heard amazing stories about Madison in the summer, so I'm going to say summer official visits, even though I haven't got there yet. But I mean, the other thing is, I am still a couple months in asking people the best place to eat and getting different answers every time. Like how I'm 2 months in, I still hear a different place every person I ask. Man, there's some good food. There's some good food too. But as you have me naming things, I take both those things back. My favorite thing about Madison is the passion for the Badgers. It is consistent across the board. That's my favorite thing.
It is consistent across the land. But in Madison, it's like even my mother-in-law, sorry, Gary, she listens to these. Like she is an adamant Badger fan. She had 3 daughters, and like they are diehard Wisconsin. And it's all over the place. Like the culture, the bleeding of Wisconsin, the alumni, it's lunacy. And I think, listen, Coach, I get 500 texts a day of people how excited they're. Did you see the recruiting cannon all day long? I get texts. Did you see this? I'm like, I haven't turned Twitter on in 20 seconds and we have 3 new guys. Like, I think what you and the coaching staff and Fick and everything that's happening is so exciting and it's so different. And it's something that like, I think we're all very proud of. But I love that that's your number one, because it really is like special in the state of Wisconsin is football.
Yeah. There's no doubt about it. And don't confuse the excitement level of the coaching staff too. I mean, you guys are fired up. You say what we're doing, man, we are fired up to be here, and we're feeling the excitement, and we appreciate it. We really do. It has been a blast, and we can't wait to start playing football in about 2 weeks here.
I hope I can come to the spring game. I have to ask the boss, but I'm hoping to be there.
Get her on. Come on, no.
The boss is my 2-year-old. Actually,
spring game. You can't do these podcasts and then not come to the spring game.
You know what, Coach? You are the reason that I'm going to get in trouble and be at the spring game, though, at the same time. I totally agree with you.
Hey, by the way, though, I don't know in our current offense, you might be playing linebacker. You might be over with me, just so you know.
No, well, so Longo said he was going to steal him as a tight end.
I'm too short to be a tight end.
How tall are you, Matt? How tall are you?
6'1".
Yeah,
No
you're
chance.
You're an inside backer, man. You would have to beat out Jordan Turner. That's what you'd have.
6'1", 270. Bernie, you might be on the line.
Coach, I would have eaten myself onto the line. I would have been a nose guard for sure. I'm not beating Jordan Turner out. I know that. I know that for a fact. You see those white cleats? That guy's fast. He's physical. I'm good. I would have been a nose guard. I would have been very happy eating all day to be 295 pounds or whatever you needed me. My dad would have hated it, but I would have loved it.
I mean, you would have been all day. Go ahead, Coach.
I was going to say, we'd have figured something out, whether it was nose tackle or middle linebacker. Maybe we just blitz you every play. But if you are as tough as I imagined you were or remember that you were, we'd have figured it out.
Well, I appreciate that. I think I still would have chose Wisconsin, but in the air raid, listen, as long as we win games, I don't care if there's a fullback anymore. I mean, I'll miss it, but like literally, I'd rather go watch the national championship. I'd rather watch us beat Alabama at Alabama. Like I'd rather win football games and watch our guys be successful than care if the fullback's there.
Enough said. We want to win games.
Yeah, pour one out for the fullbacks, guys. All right. Well, I think we got to let Coach get back to scheming up some more of that 3-3-5 that we're not going to see, and that's okay. We want to keep that just under wraps. But we appreciate you guys turning in to the Believe in Badgers podcast on the Believe Podcast Network, presented by betonline.ag. And until next time, on Wisconsin.
On Wisconsin.
Let's go.
On Wisconsin.